key protocol for sleep health and wakefulness and metabolism and hormone health is viewing light in the afternoon. So here's the reason for doing this. As we progress into the evening hours, there's a phenomenon where our retina, our eyes, become very sensitive to light, such that if we view bright lights, or even not so bright lights, between the hours of 10 p.m. and 4 a.m., that is strongly disruptive, very disruptive for our dopamine production. It can really screw up our sleep. And it's actually been shown in data from David Burson's lab at Brown University, one of the foremost circadian biology laboratories, as well as Samer Tar's laboratory at the National Institutes of Mental Health, that viewing bright light, or even not so bright light, between these hours of 11 p.m. and 4 a.m., or even 10 p.m. and 4 a.m., can disrupt learning and memory, can disrupt the immune system, and can disrupt mood in very long-lasting ways. There are ways to offset that, however, what I call your Netflix inoculation. Those of you that like to stay up late on the tablet or computer or watching Netflix, getting a little bit of afternoon light in your eyes, somewhat counterintuitively, can prevent this disruption of bright light later in the evening, at least somewhat. What do I mean by that? Well, if you view light as the sun is starting to go down, so if you step outside around 4 p.m., 5 p.m., again, what time exactly will depend on time of year and where you are located on our planet. But as the sun starts to head down, you don't necessarily have to see the sunset. It'd be lovely if you could. Sunsets are beautiful. But if you can get outside and see the sun as it arcs down, or if you can't see the sun directly, get some sunlight in your eyes in the afternoon hours, so maybe 4 p.m.-ish, and do that for 20, 30 minutes, maybe reading outside or taking a walk. I walk the dog again, that's my protocol, in order to get that evening light. What it does is it lowers the sensitivity of your retina in the late evening hours, which allows you to buffer yourself against the negative effects of bright light later at night. Now, it won't allow you to blast your eyes with bright light. You still need to dim the lights in the evening. But there's a very nice study that was published in Scientific Reports that illustrates that if one does this, if you go outside and view sunlight in the evening hours for anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes, and I realize that people have a range of constraints on their schedule, but from 5 to 30 minutes, what happens is that your melatonin rhythm stays appropriate. Now, we haven't talked too much about melatonin, but melatonin is a hormone that is inhibited by light. It's actually prevented by light. And melatonin is the hormone that allows you to fall asleep easily. Now, I'm not talking about supplementing melatonin. I'm talking about melatonin that you naturally produce from your pineal. So the protocol is very simple. Get outside in the afternoon or evening for 10 to 30 minutes. Take your sunglasses off, get some bright light, get some natural light in your eyes. If you can't do that, probably better to just stay with standard artificial lights inside. Don't crank them up, but just start to dim them. Again, this would be a time to avoid blue blockers. People are popping on blue blockers at 4 o'clock in the afternoon because you're worried that blue light is going to disrupt your sleep. Well, you're making your eyes more sensitive to any light that you might see later in the evening, blue light or otherwise. So get that afternoon light. So what you'll probably notice is that the optimal protocols for optimizing your brain and body health and performance and sleep, etc., are actually really simple. But just because they're simple does not mean that they are not powerful. In fact, they are very powerful because they leverage the most powerful technology that exists, which is your nervous system. You know, we always think about technologies as devices, and indeed there are some wonderful devices out there. Some people are really into tracking their sleep and their sleep time. If you're into that, great. That's not something that I personally do, although I keep telling myself that I should do that. There are devices that can control brain waves and things of that sort. But what we are talking about today are really basic things that we can all do that can steer our neurology and our biology in the directions that are going to support workflow, that are going to support hormones, that are going to support brain function. So this afternoon light viewing is yet another example of leveraging a technology that you were born with and that you will die with and that you will have every day in between in order to tweak the hormones of your system, in this case, the hormone melatonin, so that it's released at the appropriate times and not at the wrong times. Because we know that when hormones and systems of the body are well aligned with the 24-hour schedule, beautiful things happen. And when they are misaligned, terrible things happen. Sometimes those terrible things are subtle at first, but disrupting your circadian rhythms is really bad for every system in your body. Getting it right, and as you can tell, getting it right doesn't take much, can really serve to quote-unquote optimize you. When I say optimize, it means it puts you into a better mood overall, better state for learning, etc. So get that after.